Okay, this is your generator compartment. So your generator's inside here. You can open this door up. There's another door on here that has to stay attached when it's running or it'll overheat. So without this door on, it will overheat. So you check your oil here. Generator has to be off. If you open this up with the generator running, you will get a face full of oil. You check your oil here, and there's your oil level. There is a breaker right here. So if for some reason you don't have any power inside and the generator is running, you want to make sure this breaker is in the on position. You can start and stop it here, and you have an hour meter here. You can also start and stop it from the inside. It's got break-in oil in it. It needs to be changed at 50 hours, and it's every 100 hours thereafter. But when you're done in here, make sure you put this door back on. I've got customers that want to leave it off thinking it'll run cooler, and it won't. This generator runs very hot because it's air cooled. So it's like a lawnmower, runs really hot. So in order to plug it in, you got to grab the short cord. It's in this compartment. And up here is where this end plugs in. And you line this part up with this part, and you can see the two little knobs. Line those up, put it in there, turn it, and then you just tighten this down, and it's waterproof. You can leave this hooked up during the rain. On this end, you have a 15 amp plug. When you're plugged into this, you can't run anything but basically the battery charger, so it'll keep it charged and keep the refrigerators going. When you plug into here, to this end, you can have one air going and a little bit of power, and then when you plug into here, you can power up everything. Ideally, you want to be plugging into this or this where you're storing it, or at least plugging into this and making sure you don't need any heat or cooling. And then when you're done, you just put this cord away. It automatically transfers between shore power and generator. There's an automatic transfer switch in here. So it does that on its own, so it knows. So when you're ready to leave, you're just gonna hook this, and you'll lose power inside. You need to make sure everything's turned off. You can leave the refrigerator and the battery charger on, but like the air conditioner or any other major appliance, you wanna make sure it's off before you unplug it. So to fill with water, you got this compartment right here, and you're just gonna open this up, stick a hose in here. You don't want to turn it on full blast. You want it about a third to half way on your nozzle, because you don't want to be blasting water in there too fast. You just put it in here. There's an overflow right here. Water will shoot out here when it's full. You can take the hose off, turn it off. There's also a part inside that shows you the level of the tanks. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so this is your sewer hose carrier here. Handles your sewer hose for dumping the holding tank. So you pull this out. This here goes on here. You have to line up the notches, and that will go in your hold wherever you're dumping. This, you got to take this cap off, and you latch this onto the ears here and hold that. You want to make sure that you're putting pressure on this, or most holding tank dump places have like a rock or something to put on here. Because if you just sit this there, as soon as you turn it on, it'll go everywhere, and you'll wind up with stuff everywhere. So you're going to put this here, and then you're going to pull up on this valve. You're going to pull up on that valve, that's going to dump it. And when you're done, push down on it. The one thing you want to do is once you get it dumped, you want to shut this, you want to go inside and run the sink and run the toilet a little bit to get a little bit more water in there. And then come back out here and open it up again and dump that out, and then you're going to take this off, and then you're going to immediately take a hose and flush this out and make sure it's all cleaned out. The more water you put in that tank after you've dumped it, the cleaner this will be, because obviously you're putting clean water into the system. And then at that point, you're going to want to put your chemicals in, whatever chemicals you're using, into the tank. That way it keeps the smell down and it keeps it cleaner. then you just put this back in. This will have to come off. You want to wear rubber gloves. This is all brand new right now, never been used. Put that in there. And you just put this back on. So this is an exterior GFI. You can plug something into here. It is on a GFI, so if it gets any water or anything, it will trip the breaker. The breaker's inside. I'll show you that inside when we go inside. So that's just like on your house. It's a GFI breaker. So in here is your battery for the back half of the vehicle. We call this the house battery. We call the engine battery the coach battery. This is your house battery. So this battery here runs everything in the back, starts the generator, and there's 3 breakers up here, which will be a picture, a still picture of. There's 3 breakers. If the lever is out, that means it's been tripped. It needs to be snapped back up in. If the lever is, you can't see the red lever sticking out, that means everything's connected good. So the entry step goes in and out when you open the door, but right now I've got it in the locked mode. So it's locked so that the step doesn't go in and out. If the door is shut and the engine's running, it'll automatically put it in. So if for some reason you forget to turn that switch back on, the step will go in when you drive away if it's in this mode. But the step switch is right here, right inside. So when you turn that off, then it goes in and out every time you open and shut the door. You don't really want that if you're going to be parked somewhere all day, because wear and tear on the step. So you really want to lock it in the out position so it stays out all day until you're done, and then it'll go in. The next thing is this. You sort of have to lift up on this and turn it, and that's your handle for going in and out. There's also one on the inside on the cabinet, but there's one right here. So when you're ready to run the awning out, you want to, if the door is going to be open, you want to latch this in the open position. This will allow that arm not to hit this door while it's going in and out. So you always want to have it in this latch position or shut if you're running the awning. Because if you was to open this and the wind blow it, it'd get in the way of the awning arm. So you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and, I showed you the switch inside, so I'm going to go ahead and run it out. You hold the button down for maybe a second, and then you can release it, and it goes out on its own. It'll go all the way out, and then it'll come back a little bit, and it'll stop. And so you got a strip of LED lights right there that are on. In order to get those to go off, you have to turn the off switch off. So now you're ready to use it for the day. And then when you're done at the end of the day, you're just going to hit the retract button. There again, you hold it down for a second, and then run it in. Okay, so to work the awning, you're going to turn this switch on. You have retract and extend. I'm not going to push them right now. I'm just showing you the inside panel. So this panel works this. It actually has a motion sensor on it. If it gets windy, it'll bring the awning back in. So if for some reason you go out and the awnings came back in, it probably got a gust of wind or something like that, and it needed to come in. So you have what's called a motion sensor on it. Once you have it out, you can turn it off, or you can leave it on. Whenever it's on, there's an LED light outside that will be on the awning. Whenever you turn it off, it'll turn that light off. So if you don't want the light on during the day, you can just turn it off and that'll turn the light out. Okay, if the vehicle's sat for a while, and say a month or so, or even a week, just depends, and this thing, it won't move, so when you hit unfold, it won't come out. What you want to do is put it back in and fold it back in, and then take it right back out. And there's a picture of that latch. It's going to be right after this. It'll show you that it's catched on a latch. What that is so when you open the door, for some reason somebody's messed with it or opened that valve, the lift doesn't fall and hit you. It catches on that latch. So it's a safety device. So again, if you go to put it out and it won't come out, when you're hitting the unfold, just hit the fold, it'll go back in and then it'll come right back out. Okay, so if for some reason you need to use it manually, it won't work, battery's dead, whatever, it's not working, you can use it manually. You'll have to get this off of where it's stored out there by the hand pendant and bring it in with you. And when what you do is, it's like a bottle jack. There's a little T right here that you put in this, and you just slip it in the T, and what you're going to do is open that up. Don't open it too far, just a little at a time. You can, by closing it, you can slow it way down, you can speed it up a little bit. So once you get close, you just want to put it to where you want it, load the person on. Once they get on, you want to just slowly open it and lower it down. And that would allow you to get them out in an emergency if for some reason the lift won't work. This is all manual with a hydraulic jack pump basically. So this should be if you need to do it. Now the hardest part of this whole thing, and it's not as hard when it's empty, so now you would unload them, then you would close this. Now to get them back up, if you wanted to bring somebody in, you have to jack them up. It's not too bad when there's nobody on it. You put somebody on here and it's a lot harder to jack. It can be done, it just takes a little bit of work. But you just jack it all the way up. I'm just going to go to floor level so I can show you that inboard barrier will start coming down as you get up to allow you to roll the person in, or if you got to get somebody out, to roll them out. So you want to make sure you're right there and all the way up before you roll them in. So once it starts to fold in, you want to stop and get the person on it and then take them out. Then if you would, once you were done, you would just jack it the rest of the way back in, which I'm not going to do all the way, but that's what you would do. Okay, to work your wheelchair lift, open the door. Just like the main door, there's a tie back over here. You need to tie this door back off so it'll stay in that position. There's a switch right here that you need to turn on. That'll allow the lights to come on. And then you have a hand pendant. The hand pendant you have fold and unfold, up and down. So the first thing you're going to do is unfold it. And then you run it down. Now at this point, you're going to wheel the person on. They shouldn't be standing, they should be on here, but you wheel them on, and then once you get them on, when you hit the up, your outboard barrier will go up. That'll keep them from rolling off. You should lock the wheelchair wheels if it's a manual wheelchair. Then you raise it up. It'll go up to floor level, and then the inboard barrier will go down once you get to a certain point and allow them to roll off and go inside. So at this point, if they're capable, they can roll inside. If not, you're going to have to go through the door and go around and wheel them inside and take care of it. And then once they're inside, you would just hit the fold. And that'll fold it in. Now at this point, you would just shut it up, do what you got to do with them, and then you do it in reverse once you are ready to take them back out. But you do, unless it's a nice day and you don't mind leaving the door open, you're going to want to shut the door, especially if you need privacy. Okay, this is your electrical panel area. Up here you got your breaker panel. Here you got your 12-volt fuses. They're all labeled. You can take this off. Get to your fuses. They're all labeled. Just make sure you replace them with what's already there. These are your breakers, just like your home. So you can turn those on and off. This is the GFI. So if this is tripped, you just reset that. But that's like a GFI in your bathroom at home. Other than that, there's really nothing else for you guys to mess with in here. You don't want to use this to put stuff in. You just leave this alone and just get in here to work on your electrical. You have a light switch for your interior lights. You got your scene lights, that's the exterior lights. You got a street, a rear, and a curb. So driver side, rear, passenger side. That's your awning switch we already talked about. This is your water tank switch. So you can press this button here, it'll tell you the condition of the battery, the condition of your water tanks. Right now we got everything empty because we don't want to ship it with fresh water in it or any black water. So you don't have a gray tank, you only have a black tank. You just have a toilet and a sink. We always want to add a little bit of sink water to the toilet water. So that sink, you only have one sink and one toilet. So they all go into the black. So the gray is not used. If you hold this button down for, I think it's 9 or 10 seconds, it'll blink like that. So now that'll stay on and tell you all the time. You don't have to press the button to see what level your water's at. It'll tell you all the time. And if you wanted to see what your gray tank, you hold this down for 9 seconds. And when it flashes, it'll tell you what this tank is at all times. You don't have to press the button. So it's not a bad feature, especially the fresh. That way you can look at it all the time without having to go over and push the button. It'll actually do it for the battery as well. And this is your water pump. So anytime you're going to use the sink, toilet, or anything, you want to have the water pump on. Obviously you want to turn this off, especially if the tank, if you hear the pump running and your tank's getting really low, it's probably sucking air and it don't have enough pressure, so the pump is just sitting there running and running. That'll ruin the pump if you let that sit and do that all the time. So you want to turn that pump off when you're not using this. If you're going out for the day, you can turn it on, leave it on all day because somebody's in here. But when you're done at the end of the day, you should always turn this off. Your generator remote is right here. You want to service the generator at the first 50 hours and every 100 hours thereafter. It's got break-in oil in it, so that's a little bit critical. This is your hour meter. You also have an hour meter on the generator. You have a start and a stop button. So there the generator is running, and that shuts it off. If for some reason it shuts off and this light is blinking, it'll blink once, or it'll blink 1, 2, and a pause, and then 1, 2, and a pause, or it'll blink 1, 2, 3, and then a pause, 1, 2, 3, and a pause. If it blinks once, it means it overheated. If it blinks twice, that means it's low on oil. If it blinks 3 times, it means it's another issue. You have to go to the secondary code. To get the secondary code off of it, you just hit the stop button once, and then it'll blink like 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. That would be 32 code. And you go to your manual and see what 32 means. I will also send you a link or a PDF of what all those codes are, and up talking about how you check this for the codes once you have a code. So if it was running and you come in and this light is blinking, it means that it shut off for a reason, and we just got to find the reason. The other main reason it's shut off is probably low fuel. Once you get to about an eighth, a quarter of a tank, the generator will no longer run. So you don't sit there and run yourself out of fuel and then can't drive to the gas station. So you need to be mindful of that if you're getting low on fuel. If you're driving and the generator keeps shutting off as you're driving, you have to restart it, and you drive a little further, it usually means it's starting to get low on oil, and the oil is sloshing to one side and it gets a little air bubble, and it has no oil pressure for a second and it'll shut off. Or same thing with the fuel, it's sucking air for a few seconds. It's getting down to the point where it needs more fuel. So those are the two main things if you're driving and it shuts off. Up in here is your attic. You've got a cradle point. That's going to be your Wi-Fi. You're going to have to get a SIMS card to put in there. So IT needs to talk to me about that. They need to get the SIMS card installed. Here is the switch to turn it on. So you can see the light came on. It's obviously not going to do anything because it doesn't have a SIMS card. So it's going to fault out. That'll send wireless internet in here so that you'll have that. There's a hookup on the back side of it for a Cat 6 cable if you're going to put an internet router in here or something like that. And then you got plugs here for a printer or a router or whatever you guys are going to mount up here. Up there in the far corner, that's the battery charger. So that's going to charge the battery. It needs airflow. So you can store stuff, do whatever you want up here. But we've built that with that opening so that because that will create heat. And that's what's charging your batteries. This does draw a little bit. You want to turn it off, but you don't. I mean, it's going to take probably 2 or 3 weeks for it to drain your battery if you were to leave it on. So as long as you're plugging it in every day when you guys get back to the center, you should just be able to leave it on all the time, but that's up to you guys. It'll come to you off. So in here is your water heater. So you have a switch right here. Obviously to turn it, it's on max right now. You can turn it down, it goes off. You can turn it off, it goes up and down. But that's your water heater. So it's I think a 2-gallon water heater. And this is your water pump. There's really nothing that you should need to do in here. You can just turn the water heater on and off. Or you can turn it on and off at the breaker. So this is your air conditioner controls. You have the one on this side is your thermostat, so that'll be heat or cool. This has, the blue side is cool. The black side is fan only, and then you have optional heat. So if you want to have heat, you would just turn it to the optional heat, and then you would turn this to heat, and that'll turn on the heater that's in there, and it'll blow. If you want it on cool, you would go to the cool settings, then turn this thermostat to where you want it. It's just, you just have to find where you want it. If you back it off, right there, the compressor just shut off. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want the compressor shutting off and coming back on right away. It'll kill the generator. So don't be turning the air conditioner on and right back off unless you're on fan. On fan, you've got nothing going other than you got low, medium, and high fan. You do have like a quick cool right here, the air blows down. I would try to keep that shut as much as possible, let the air blow each direction and get airflow throughout the whole vehicle. The shorter unit only has one air conditioner, your one long unit has 2 air conditioners. Same air conditioner, works the same way. But now you can go back to cool, turn that on cool. Now the compressor just came on and you're cooling. So here's your toilet. You do have a rinse thing you can use. It will not come on unless you lift up on this. If you lift on the letter, it's almost out of water right now. So we're getting ready to ship it to you, so I drained the water tank, so it's got a little bit in it. But you can rinse this down to rinse it. You can also help use this to put more water in it so you can flush your tank. When you get ready to put chemicals in it, you're going to put it in here. You need to read your chemicals. Some of the chemicals are liquid. And if you use a liquid chemical, you might not want to dump it in the bowl. It'll probably turn it blue. It'll probably take a while. It's probably stain it for a little while. It will come off, but a lot of times you want to just open this up and dump it straight down in. That goes straight down into your tank, so you can dump it right into the tank. But you'll need to put chemicals in that. Obviously your faucet works just like your home faucet. So you do have a third seat in here. In order to fold this down, you just lift up on this, fold this down, you can sit on it. You got a seat belt, then you put it back up, you just do that same lever again and put it back up. On your backup camera, once you start the vehicle, this red light will come on. If you put it in reverse, the camera will come on. You can see when you're backing up. Once you put it back in drive or park or any other gear, it'll go off again. Once it goes off, I personally, you get used to driving with this thing on, so you can just hit that button right there and you can have it on all the time. It will go off as soon as you turn the vehicle off, but at least it's on all the time. I think it's handy when you're driving, you can see around you a little bit better and see who's behind you if somebody's tailgating you. So I would leave it on all the whole time you're driving. So to work the ceiling vent, you have a knob right here. This opens the vent. This is your in and out. And this is a switch. So this will suck air out. You want to put it in the middle. Wait until it stops before you flip it the other way. It's just better on the motor that way. And you can flip it the other direction. And you got high, medium, and a low setting, and then off. And then you need to make sure you shut the vent.